Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakal Kadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone, who have taught me this truth. Rakatha Yahweh, Rakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Rakal Kadash, Rakatham. So, what's happened is Esau is failing at everything he does, in the essence that people don't really see him as a threat anymore. In fact, if you hadn't caught the footage from Damascus, in particularly, the music was pumping, from the video, and you could see, though, that the Israeli state, their missiles were just shot down by the government, man. People ain't even fucking sweating it anymore. Israeli state says they're going to take out Iran, Iraq, Syria if they have to, because, of course, Bashar al-Assad is going to accept help from his allies, which is Persia, which is also Russia. So, they're laughing at fucking these terrorist threats from the Israeli state, Amalek. They're laughing at Esau as, pretty much, you can see, though, that, when the last time the United States had attacked Syria, though Donald Trump said that the mission was a success, it was an utter failure. Most of the Tomahawk cruise missiles were shot out of the sky. That people were partying and rejoicing because they thwarted the attack. Bashar al-Assad returns right back to work like nothing happened. It was business as usual. It was actually a happy day in Damascus because that was on a Saturday. So what did they do? They did a market. They had their market fest. Hey, shalom, Mac. Pretty much, though, what's happening is they're not even afraid of what America or Israeli state is going to do to them. Esau is failing because he can't even protect his own land. You got the wildfires of California, which I live right in the midst of Redding, as they're wrapping up Delta fire now, trying to figure out how they're going to clean up the car fire. And at the same time, demolishing the Sears building, which is just really retarded. It's like, okay, you already had the building, but now you're going to demolish the building because you say you're going to expand that mall. Well, you could have just used that structure there, but Esau does many dumb things. But it's just funny though because of the fact that all these countries are now standing up against the Edomite countries. They're getting the Edomites out of the country. Even Iraq wants the U.S. out of there, and are working with Russia to get them out of there. So that's why the insurgencies happened recently in Basra. In particularly, they blew up the building. It was a counseling building. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but either way, it was a building in Basra that pretty much they had taken it down, because it was of Shiite Muslim or Shiite influence, Iran, Persia. So, they're drawing all these countries are drawing near because they're taking a proverb against the Edomites. So I'm just going to read out of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 28, because we know that these nations, now WWE is doing events in Saudi Arabia quite often. So we know that, Saudi Arabia is going to be the home base of, the military. So they'll be over there while things will be popping off over here. Martial law and all that, but they ain't going to have enough officers. Chaos is just going to be rampant. So verse 28, 2nd Ezra chapter 15. What a terrifying sight appearing from the east. The nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and from the day that they set out, their hissing shall spread over the earth, so that all who fear them will fear and tremble. And here it is. And, we know that Saudi Arabia was used when they went against Iraq, which they're going to try to do the same thing in Syria because it's just not enough. Idlib is about to fall. Those terrorist groups are about to be run out. So they're going to have to send in the U.S. military because they don't have enough stronghold on the eastern side of Syria because Turkey is no longer allied with the United States anymore. They are looking to protect their assets, but they want nothing from the United States. Erdogan is finished with the United States, and it's because their backup of a backup plan, the same plan they used in Iraq by arming the YPG forces. Turkey wasn't going with that. So you got all these nations together actually happening, bringing this forth. Also the Caramonians, raging in wrath, shall go forth like wild boars from the forest with great power, and they shall come and engage them in battle. And with their tusks they shall devastate a portion of the land of the Assyrians with their teeth. And that's just talking about this battle here. And like I said before, if they're going to protect the terrorist assets, they're going to have to go in groundly and actually invade Syria. And this is where I believe this is talked about. And then the dragons, remembering their origin, shall become still stronger, and if they combine in great power and turn to pursue them, then these shall be disorganized and silenced by their power, and shall turn and flee. Again, how many times have they tried this? ISIS was the biggest part of it, and you can see that that's pretty much wiped out because they said, let's just combine all the terrorist groups and just call it ISIS instead of calling it Al Qaeda or Al Nusra Front. Let's just combine all the forces together. And Saudi Arabia was the main place that they were coming from, as well as Qatar and pretty much the whole peninsula. And from the land of the Assyrians are an enemy to ambush shall attack them and destroy one of them, and fear and trembling shall come upon their army, and indecision upon their king. So pretty much this is leading to the fact that all these nations that are breaking off from America because they were promised things, especially Turkey now, had broken off from America a couple of years ago. The last thing they did for America was shooting down the Russian jet, and, pretty much Putin got in there anyways, was able to make deals with them even after that. They expected him to act irrationally, hoping to draw them in, but what had happened is he got a game plan set up with them. So Turkey was very good at playing both sides, as you know, as Gomer. See the clouds from the east and from the north to the south. Their appearance is exceedingly threatening, full of wrath and storm. They shall clash against one another and shall pour out a heavy tempest on the earth. Well, what's that talking about? Well, the words devastation and other things in there. That this big tempest that this is talking about, well, you get into our very name, Great Millstone. What's that talking about? That's talking about the destruction that's coming to Babylon the Great. So pretty much, all these countries, you can see them breaking apart now, just on the Syria alone. Yeah, the ICBM missiles, And what's very interesting, though, is that, a lot of countries that you didn't think had them, they have them. Smaller countries such as Pakistan. Everybody knows that North Korea has them, but the media likes to tell you, oh, well, their rockets ain't strong enough to reach American shores. They boast about their confidence. Well, that's kind of funny, though, because of the fact that, no, these ICBMs will make their mark. What's happening, though, is, they're testing the smaller ones. Those longer range ones, they are quite capable of reaching their target because, what's funny about these scriptures, you go back, it talks about the archers. And, what did an archery attack do? When you talk about battles, the arrows, most often, they would wipe out an entire army. Well, now you just add ICBM nuclear missiles. So just like what as the bow attack, if you play any of them strategy games, that the archer attacks are very deadly because the only thing you can really hold up is a shield. Well, what's going to shield you from nuclear missiles when it just totally wipes everything out in sight? And these are meant to make their target. And that heavy storm clouds shall be stirred up from the south and from the north, and another part from the west. But the winds from the east shall prevail over the cloud that was raised in wrath, and shall dispel it, and the tempest that was to cause destruction by the east wind shall be driven violently towards the south and west, great and mighty clouds full of wrath and tempest. And of course, this is talking about once the target is made. And we're just seconds away from the 200 million nuclear missiles being shot up. And we know that the mark of the beast is about to come. And we're seeing it because, it's in all kinds of movies. More and more you're seeing the RFID technology in the movies. So and the Real ID Act, is out there. But pretty much, though, that's all conditioning, that you're going to be tracked everywhere you go. And we can see, though, that, this Real ID Act, that if you get the federal non-compliant, you can't even get into certain buildings, certain streets, because they're going to have roadblocks. So you have to have that Real ID. Well, that's going to eventually be replaced by the RFID implant. So, these places will be off limits. And pretty much a lot of people here, in Reading especially, the car fire people, they're getting relocated by signing up for FEMA because they, it's going to take a long time to rebuild structures. They're even talking about rebuilding structures today. But pretty much a lot of them, man, it's going to take a long time to rebuild the homes. So they're going to sign up for FEMA to get compensation and to actually get the housing, which that's in Sacramento. And that's a well-known gated community, which is totally run by FEMA, a.k.a. a FEMA camp, Let's see, where was I? Fire and hail and flying swords. So the key word, flying swords, with floods of water, so that all the fields, all the streams shall be lifted with the abundance of those waters. They shall destroy cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the forest, and grass of the meadows, and their grain. They shall go on steadily to Babylon and blot it out. So to be blotted out means to totally be annihilated. And this day is going to come as a thief in the night, pretty much. Everything's leading to that very last hour. Chaos is getting more and more, just the slightest mention that you're going to see heavy rainfall. People are looting the stores, just panicking. And again, once this martial law takes place, which is going to be in way of other events that are controlled, false flags or storms, because they were chipping people during Hurricane Katrina. And even during Hurricane Harvey last year, there was news footage like, well, why didn't you go to the shelters? Because they're killing people in the shelters. As a part of the news segment that they took out, but yet it was put on YouTube. And I think most of us had seen that. They should go on steadily to Babylon and blot it out. They shall come to it and surround it. They shall pour out on it the tempest and all its fury. From the dust of smoke shall they reach the sky, and all who are around it shall mourn for it. And those who survive shall serve those who have destroyed it. Well, who's going to destroy it ultimately? That's going to be the power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai and the angels, which are the elect that go up in them chariots as we judge this place, man. They're going to be made to serve us. And pretty much, the idea right now is to repent while we're still out there teaching, because, again, we ain't going to be out there once all this bigger stuff starts taking place. But, in the meantime, we still got our camps very strong in Hawaii. Kilauea volcano went off way earlier this year, and we're still out there teaching. That camp is very strong. And we have camps in North Carolina and South Carolina that are very strong. Of course, we know what to do. And Houston still remained even after Hurricane Harvey. So our camps are going to remain strong. But, like everything else, this is the time of mercy. But eventually this door will be shut. The 2/3 are going to look for us. So, the elect of us that are, this truth is resonating with us. It's time now, to go out and teach while we still have this, because, the place I went to, San Francisco, and they've been messing with their channels. GMS SF discussion was taken down, so another channel went up in its place because we're smart like that. But also the camp channel was also taken down, and that was just about a month or two ago. So eventually, we won't be able to redo channels, but for right now, it's coming. This famine of the word is coming. And the fact that they're now taking down government channels, such as the Syrian government channels being taken down, to where if you're trying to catch the news from Syria about what's going on with Idlib and all that, you're now finding the propaganda from the terrorist groups, saying that, we're oppressed and all that. And they make the media look good, because that's Esau's main deception is the media. Now that the Syrian government channels are down, now they're just pretty much, controlling that narrative to make everybody believe that these people are being oppressed by the Assad government. It was a nice try, but you still got Press TV, you still got RT, and you got others out there that will show you the real truth. But that won't be around much longer now that they're taking down pro-government channels of anybody else. Yeah, especially, Alex Jones, the info warriors, over here. Yeah, eventually they'll come after Chris Green, but for some reason they're keeping him up. But that's because of the fact that, did you see Chris Green or AMTV actually do a video on this whole Damascus shooting down the Israeli missiles? I thought that Chad Brooksand would have gotten on that, but nah. I think that that Chris Green's too busy with his Maserati, that he brags about. Their motives behind that was just, to sell you on the Bitcoin, and but there are others out there that are still, as you would call, whistleblowers that still bring truth. But the fact is, though, is that, you could tell who the sellouts are versus. But Alex Jones was a controlled opposition. But I think that the big thing why they targeted him so much is because of that video that went out a few months ago. God damn it, fucking son of a bitch. That motherfucker, fuck Trump. I think it was because of that, and that actually got a lot of people's attention, which that part wasn't even supposed to be recorded, but anybody who's watching his live streams caught it, because of the fact that Syria was attacked by Donald Trump. And I think more than anything else is because he spoke against the war in Syria. The fact that he talks to the Syrian girl, because the next thing after Alex Jones were the Syrian government channels, and that's just it. Now they want to control the narrative on Syria. And everybody knows that video is about to roll out, So, with that, I hope this has been edifying. And Shalom, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadosh, Brakathum. And hope this was edifying.